We are back. This is the wrap up of the Inner Life series, which we started at the beginning of the year.
We did.
For those of you who may be tuning in for the first time or first time in a little while, like I'm Mitch, I'm one of the pastors here. You are Greg.
I am.
You are the lead pastor here, which means we ask you all the questions and then you help us figure it out.
That's not what that means.
So yeah, that's not what that means.
But we had some goals at the start of the year. So we started this series, of course, because why not start a new year with the things that can shape us the most, right? And we'll get to the 10 and 10 habits 5 weeks during the series, 9 weeks, which we're almost done with, but not done with your habit, of course. All that to say, you had a goal as our media pastor at the start of the year about, it's just simple, we want people to open the app more.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to say just a few words about why that goal is there and then what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only does that help me keep my job, but what it really is aimed at is the idea that if your phone is always in your hand. It is 2026. We don't need to pretend it's not.
Right.
And so the things that you're consuming are shaping you.
Yes.
You are being shaped with whatever you consume. So if Amazon is your number one used app, you're probably spending
it says something about
money,
you, right?
Yeah, it says something about you, looking at not just your screen time, but where it's spent, which if you have an iPhone, it does a really good job of making you feel really bad about how you use your devices. And so one of my goals this year was the idea that how do we help people not just interact with us through a digital means or in a means that's hey, I'm actually very easily able to take steps in my faith journey, only in our building.
Right.
We have an app for the other dozens of hours that happen in your
6
week.
days a week when you most likely aren't here.
Yeah.
But we want to help.
Yeah, and so one of my goals, the really quick way of saying is hey, right now we know that the average person at most uses it once a week when they walk through our doors. I had a goal. It's hey, I want to bump that up to 3 times a week, which actually takes our total app usage up to 65,000 times a year.
Yeah, during the week. During the week, in addition to the weekends.
Yeah, in addition to
65,000 times the app gets opened.
Yeah,
that's what we're aiming at.
That's what we're aiming at.
What are we at? It's March.
And third or so. Some of this has been information hey, did you know that this is available in the app? This actually isn't new. I just want you to know that it's there and we are providing all of this stuff. So as of, this is March 4th, so our data for today is not fully complete, but we are up to 23,755 app uses.
Yes.
For the year.
So we're aiming at 65,000 for the year. We're already at 23,000.
And we're not even through the first quarter.
I mean, here we are. So it's awesome. And I love what you said there about this is the device that is in our hands all the time. And I know some of the vision you cast to me for this goal was, hey, there are tools in the app that will help people grow, right? So obviously our daily scripture readings are in there and we're using that for the 10-10. You can also sign up for a group. So you can find a team.
You can sign up for the Note from Greg, where you can find other different ways to engage in what's happening here. We have discussion questions for if you are in a group, use those.
Yes.
If you're not in a group, guess what? My wife and I use those after church on our drive home.
Yeah.
We pull it up in the app and then it's hey, let's talk about this a little bit further. We have people that we know who send those, the message from the weekend out. In fact, we have people who watch all the way in Alaska who show up once every 18 months periodically because they've got family in the area, but they've experienced change and they use the app to help them take steps in their journey.
Yeah.
Even as astronomically remote as they are.
I mean, if you think about what helps us grow, obviously there's a relational aspect to it, and the app can help you get into those relationships.
Yeah.
It's not the relational, but you can obviously watch messages. Some of you are watching this podcast on the app, right? But even that sense that I care about people who are far from God, about lost people, and I can share, something comes up in Suncrest content, and I think, oh, my friend who's struggling in their faith or who didn't go to church, this would be helpful to them. The app, you share it, here we go. So I was there's so many ways that we have this vision that a simple piece of technology can really help people take steps spiritually. And we're seeing it. I did hear a story yesterday of someone who took the Suncrest app and it moved onto the front page of their phone. And I'm that's a victory, right?
Yep.
It probably moved from a folder somewhere onto the second page, onto the first page. And as we know, and we'll talk about neural pathways a little bit today, whatever ends up in front of you, it can really affect you. So maybe that's just a challenge for some of you. Put that Suncrest app on the very front page that you see, and you will use it more.
Yeah, the other side of that, not just on your front page, turn on the notifications. We're sending out stuff to help you, whether that's reminding you of a reading plan that we've got, reminding you of events that we got, reminding you that, hey, there's stuff for your kids and your students, middle and high schoolers. There's stuff, like, you name it. Like, we are trying to help resource you to make the best decisions you can with the information that's out there. So
You were joking with me last week that, on our slide when we tell people to download the app, it used to say 6 people give us their 5-star review.
it's true. It was that for a long time.
It was, but what are we at now?
65 5 stars and 1 bot that gave us 1 star.
1 star. And bots.
Yeah, the bots, man, really let them down apparently. So here we are.
But it's great. In your app store, whether Google or Apple, it's right there.
You can find it. Even just going to our website, it'll get you there.
Yep.
So we are talking about the inner life. That's what all of this is about. And so there's 2 big things for our conversation today.
Yes. One of them is commons area conversations that I end up with. And, I've been doing this a long time. So I have some phrases, I call them axioms that I come back to a lot. And some of these I came back to a lot during the inner life conversations after the messages.
Sure.
And so I thought, man, let's talk about a few of these things, and maybe it will be helpful to you as you're working through your inner life stuff.
Absolutely.
So
the first one that you would use often is most people aren't on a truth quest. They're on a happiness quest.
yes.
Say more.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of like, who speaks this way except a pastor, right? But think about this. You're aiming at something in life. Everybody is. And it would seem noble, right, to aim at like, well, I want to know what's true.
Yeah.
And that is noble. But I just think we have to be honest and say most people aren't usually aiming at what's true. They're aiming at happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the biggest question people ask, which is like, but how can I be happy?
Yeah.
Right? What would make me happy? Or she's just not happy.
Yeah.
And we live in this happiness world. And I do think this series was a chance actually to shine light on a really meaningful concept that says there's nothing wrong with happiness.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I enjoy it myself,
like
right?
5
However,
out of 5 stars.
it's when it becomes our main quest, instead of saying, actually, I want the truth. I mean, one of the phrases we'll come back to in the series and today is the truth will set you free.
Right.
And I think, if we could all be honest with ourselves that maybe my sights are set a little too low. I'm aiming at feeling good tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I want you to feel good tomorrow. I'm not against that. It's just like, it's too low of a quest. That's why I use the word quest. I want it to sound like a big, grand deal. And when the scriptures say, set your mind on things above, not on earthly things, and the truth will set you free. I do want it to jostle us in such a way to say, what would it look like to not primarily be on a happiness quest, but to say, but what is true? I think what you'll start to feel is, I'm building my life on a solid foundation, not just chasing the next feeling.
Yeah.
And I think if we can discipline ourselves to get our mind around that, it's a big deal. And I will say this, even in my own spiritual journey, I use the term truth quest very particularly because I believe Christianity is true. But I'm so committed to truth that I try to tell people often enough, if Christianity isn't true,
right,
then I don't want it. I want what's true, right? And so it's okay to open your mind and say, I'm searching for what's true. What can I plant my foot on? What can I really build out my life on? And then a belief that truth would set you free.
Yeah, and I think there's even a distinction maybe that is made in that, like, the quest isn't the quest for truth. Like,
right.
Then that becomes then the happiness thing is that, like, well, you just find the next truest thing because we can't fully know everything. That's part of what we're going to be talking about with the essentials. You can't know everything. You can't know enough. And so then it's like, that's where that, like, setting your mind on things above And what will happen is like you will discover true things that will help you on the quest of truth.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it's a peeling of the onion image for sure, because it's a journey that will take your whole life.
Absolutely.
So,
next one, if your internal strength is insufficient, use an external structure.
yeah. So, again, after I've worked with people about like wanting to see change in their lives or have disciplines, habits a long time, I come back to this phrase a lot because I think some people feel guilty that they're not strong enough internally to resist certain things. A lot of these are maybe more addictive personalities. It could be food, it could be pornography, it could be whatever, and you just feel like I'm not strong enough to do that. And I never shame people for not being strong enough.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, it sounds like, I mean, maybe 5 years from now, you'll be internally strong enough. But until then, just the wisdom is to put in some external structures, right? So, you know, I could be frustrated that, I eat, what's in my refrigerator, or I could just decide not to have it in my refrigerator, right? It's genuinely an external structure. I make this pre-decisions that I'm not going to put myself into situations.
Yeah.
And we were just talking a little bit. I think everyone knows I like a little Panera coffee.
Yes, it is.
They just opened one right by my house.
Yeah, literally across the street.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. It's definitely on my path to and from the church every morning.
No matter where you go.
No matter where I go, it is on my way home. And I'm like, I've loved Panera for a long time. I am a subscriber. Shout out to the Sip Club, $8.99 a month or something like that. But I'm drinking twice as many things from Panera right now because of an external structure.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't do this if I had to go out of my way for it.
Right.
Now that it's on my way, back to the app being on the front page, like we actually get to make some decisions about external structures in our lives that support our internal stuff. And I think sometimes in church world, and maybe from pastors like me, it can feel like you should just be strong enough.
Yeah.
Internal strength, that's where it's at. But as we're working on the inner life, it's okay to create some freedom in the inner life by putting external structures in place. Not only okay, it's healthy.
That's part of being even a part of a church, right? Like we have each other, we are guiding through this. Like it is not in the opposite direction. I have a couple of friends who are like, hey, I don't follow Jesus because like I am strong enough. Like I can get through this. And it's like, okay, there might be a moment that you're not, and then you'll have to figure that out. But like for the me of my world, like I'm not, and I'm just trying to figure this out. And I've got now people in my life that I can rub shoulders with who are also trying to figure that out. And then I've got something that is helping me try to understand what the right direction to aim at is on that truth quest. Like it's just a part of this. So yeah. All right. Your next thing. More data is not depth. More information is not formation.
Yeah. So anyone who works in a church knows this, right? So I embrace the idea that over time, some people will come to our church. They may love their experience here. They may not. Some come, some leave.
Yep.
But one of the things people say, and I think they say this to every church, every pastor I ever talk to, like it's not like there's some church that's exempt from this. As people might be, I'll say complaining, might be frustrated. They'd say, "Oh, it's just not deep enough," right? And I get the feelings that are around that. Like people, like they want more. That's what I hear them saying, and then they kind of have a way they would like their church to deliver that. But this Inner Life series has been so significant in my conversations because it shines light on something I want people to see. I think you could make a case that this is among the deepest series we've ever done.
You heard it here.
It from a depth standpoint, and this isn't naturally always the way people think. I know sometimes when people say, "Oh, Greg, I want more depth," what they're saying is they want more information.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, let's go verse by verse through passage of scripture. Tell me all the background information about what was going on in Corinth when Paul was writing that thing and all that."
Yeah.
And people mistakenly, this is a huge mistake. They think that depth is more data.
Yeah.
And they think that more information will produce more formation in our lives. But it never does. It never does. If you take what's there and you spend 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening, and you really let God do his work on you, so that, I mean, that's 20 minutes a day. I can do fast math, right? It's 140 minutes a week. You are day in and day out going to spend time not getting more information, but letting God shape your thoughts, reflecting on your day, saying, what got my attention? Where, what is God saying to me? What step am I supposed to take? And then I take that step and I write some of it down in a journal that forces me to delineate some thoughts, not just more information, not I read another book, not that. It's just such a, I think it's actually a lie of Satan. I know that's strong language, but somehow people have believed that more data is depth and more information leads to more formation, but it doesn't. It's always relational with God. And so it's creating time and space in our lives to experience something and drive at the foundations of, our identity and our soul and our faith, where I have to reconcile things with God day in and day out, and then I build it out over time. So the deepest life is the inner life, and it's not from more information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is part of that idea that we had talked in previous podcasts about, like, hey, there's this journey, this critical journey that everyone's on, like actually the spot where most people give up, because it's the spot that actually forces you to reconcile things within yourself and then potentially change what you do, is that inward journey, that internal, like, wrestling with, like, hey, how does reality line up with what you believe? How does how you're functioning line up with what you say your reality is and what you're believing? And do those things match up? And then if they don't, then you do have to wrestle with, am I going to change what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And
these are decisions that we...
And I had a very, very smart college professor say, like, hey, if you're going to figure out what following Jesus looks like, no one ever heard from God and did nothing about it. So, like, if you're going to try to be, like, formed into what that is, like no one ever heard from God and did nothing about it. Like, there is not a inert reaction to it, because you're either going to hear from God and not do anything,
Right.
which is a choice, or you're going to do something to potentially change your way. Like you're going to do something, and you can choose, like, how you respond to it, which is formation in some fashion.
Yes.
So the last line is, the truth will set you free.
That's not a
movie quote.
That's not a Greg axiom. Let's just...
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus said that.
It's Tom Cruise. What? Oh no, it's you can't handle the truth.
You can't.
That's that truth.
Which is actually spoken to Tom Cruise.
Oh well, then I don't understand anything.
Yeah.
I've
Few Good Men.
seen the movie.
You've never seen A Few Good Men?
I have never seen A Few.
Jack Nicholson.
I know who that is. That is not a...
I mean, I'm almost 20 years older than you, so it's in my window, not your window.
I don't know.
But a classic.
I watch a lot of Moana right now in my life.
Yeah. Don't watch A Few Good Men with your daughter.
Oh, okay. She's 5. It's fine. She gets that. She's a tough 5-year-old.
So the truth will set you free it's the words of Jesus. It was the title of one of the messages. We zeroed in on John chapter 8, where he says that.
Yep.
The interesting thing to me was commons area conversations, but also this one I picked up in my men's group. And we started talking about, like, the places that honestly we're not really prone to let the truth set us free. The truth would set us free, but we resist it for some reason. Yeah. So I'm just going to name 3 places that we kind of landed on in our conversations. One is something hidden in life. I think this is the most obvious one, right? So, I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon, whoever's listening to this, that you have some habit.
Yeah.
You're not proud of it. You've tried to kick it before, but it's still got you. You come back to it more often than you wish, and you're hiding it. Right? You're not telling your spouse about it. You're not telling your pastor about it. You're not telling your small group about it.
You may be even in denial about it.
You're not telling anyone about it, right? You might be telling God about it. You might. And it seems actually like, I wish that was enough. Just my confession to God, that then I could break free from this habit.
Yeah, which then puts God on the hook for...
Well, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
But I think like, oh, what would it take to tell your spouse about that habit?
Mm.
And you're like, well, I don't want to do that. I'd be embarrassed, or I'm hiding it for a reason. I'm not sure how they would react. Like, I get all the reasons.
Yeah.
I talk to people about these all the time.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't say the truth out loud, you're in handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
That when the scriptures say, when Jesus says the truth will set you free, it's so obvious in the opposite. No, until the truth comes out, you keep it hidden. And if there is hope of breaking that habit, it will come by saying the truth out loud. It's the only way to be set free. And it'll take a lot of work after that. Like it's not a one and done. We all know that.
Boy, does it.
Yeah. But it's worth it, right? I know plenty of people in our church who, I know Mitch, who held on to something for a while and then said it out loud, right? And it was hard to say it out loud. It's not like the truth will feel good. That's not what Jesus said.
That super did.
But it will set you free.
Yeah.
It is the pathway to like, man, and how much, it was hard, but how much better is life when you're like, I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
And, look, I actually found out that my spouse would walk this road with me, or my church would walk this road with me. And then I messed up again, but I didn't have to go into shame when I messed up again. I could just raise my hand and say, hey, everybody, I thought I had it beat for 6 months, but
Here we are.
fell down again. Like, how beautiful to have a community like that. So I just think, so that's category number 1, something hidden. Number 2 is something that we're just avoiding or holding back on, right? So this probably is just like, it's not so much a hidden habit as it is kind of something you're afraid to bring up with someone. And this could be your parents. It could be one of your kids, especially an adult kid. It could be your marriage, for sure. It could be with your boss. And you're like, I just think it's better not to go there.
Yeah.
Right. But not going there ensures that the situation you're in will stay as it is. And so the truth will set you free is an invitation to go there.
Yeah.
Especially with a spouse, if I could just say it that way.
Please do.
I mean, this might even seem like kind of an odd example, but, one of the weird things that people will talk to me about is like, hey, we're in a sexless marriage, right? And it's usually one person saying that to me. I say, well, have you talked to the other person about it? No. That person's frustrated. The other person's frustrated. But nobody goes there.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, well, you might want to, I don't want to be flippant about this. Unless you go there, the truth can't set you free. Right? And you might find out things you don't want to hear. That's why we hold back from these. But, I did this series years ago called The Other Side of Awkward.
Yeah.
And it's like, unless you lean in to the awkwardness of the truth, you're just going to stay where you are. That's category number 2. I could do, this might be a sermon series one day. I'm practicing on all of you.
Boy, we're gonna.
The third thing is if you and I would look into the future and say, hey, what's coming down the pike 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 5 years from now, and something out there is perfectly predictable.
Yeah.
Right? It's coming.
Yeah.
The truth is not, it's available to you.
Yeah.
But you're like, I'm just going to ignore it.
Give me examples.
So I don't think financial examples are the biggest ones, but they are easy to see.
Sure.
So, if you think you might want to retire, it's coming. Right?
Yeah.
And you can be like, okay, I got to face that. That means I have to make some decisions now I don't want to make so that, I'm prepared for that day.
Yeah.
And maybe you feel like you can't. Those are all things we have to work through.
Yeah.
But it's like, it should not surprise you that you're going to turn 65, 67, 70 one day. You're not going to be able to work like you did before. And like you had 10 years, 20 years, 40 years to prepare for this. If you have kids, Let's use Mitch as an example. Let's not.
No.
Yeah, I know you're right.
Oh, yeah.
But
did I just glaze over?
We know how much college costs.
I know how much it cost me, and it
Yeah.
will keep costing
Well,
for at
yeah.
least another 15 years.
So your kids are like 13 and 15 years away from going.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't, again, this is just simple financial stuff,
Yeah.
but it's like the truth will set you free, right? It's coming. You actually can crash into it,
Yeah.
even though you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Or you can say, actually, that's so obvious. It's perfectly predictable where this is going.
What if we did something different?
So, yes. But finances aren't actually the biggest
No, they're the most
thing.
pragmatic.
Yeah,
we can all relate to them.
it's a easy way to see an example. I think it's more likely that like, hey, you can see where your marriage is going.
Right.
It's on a path.
Yeah.
And what among the most common things I run into, we have a church with lots of young families,
Mhm.
right? And man, when you have young kids, the easiest thing in the world is to just become parents and stop being spouses, stop nurturing the marriage and focus all on your kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 20 years from now, hopefully your kids won't be living with you and you're still going to be married. That's perfectly predictable. And you could get so consumed by your kids that you let your marriage erode during that time. But I'm like, the truth will set you free. Like, the most important relationship you have is your marriage. Your kids are very, very important. They're just secondary to your marriage.
Yep.
So you nurturing your marriage first is the best thing you can do. It's actually the best thing you can do so that for your 40 years after your kids are gone, you still have a great marriage. It's actually the best thing you can do for your kids too. So but I'm like, if we just open our eyes and say, that's true, it's not how I'm living right now. Right. I'm actually consumed by something else. The kids get all my attention. I don't, my spouse takes the back seat. Well, it's perfectly predictable where that's going. The truth isn't a surprise. But we kind of willfully close our eyes to future realities. Yeah. I'm like, oh, the truth will set you free.
Absolutely. And I think some of that too is the idea that like, just because you know the truth now, like there may be situations in your life that's like, and I can't snap my finger and it's on the right trajectory right now. Like the right trajectory is, hey, we need to just at least come to terms with what the truth is and be okay with the fact that actually I can't get it to where it should be going right now. But that doesn't mean that you like ignore it. Like that is actually the right trajectory. It's not so I know and now it's all fixed. It's like
right.
Because
you're stepping into something.
That's people's faith journey, right? We've been talking about baptism a lot recently, and that's the like, hey, like I want you want to follow Jesus, absolutely. I want to talk about that, and that qualifying question is like, hey, you're saying Jesus is Lord, like of your life, which means you would do what He says, and are you prepared to not snap your fingers and immediately like, okay, I now only do exclusively what Jesus says because I've got it perfectly down, better than
and it's automatic.
Anyone ever. Like, it's like, no. Are you willing to wrestle with the trajectory that the truth is going to set you on?
Yes. Yeah, that's good, Mitch.
So, big question that's in all of this, that is underneath all of it, that is in every pastoral counseling thing that we've gotten over the last, not just month and a half, but forever,
30 years. Yeah.
Is can people really change?
Yeah.
And that being external, pushing off to others.
Yeah. We sometimes ask that question about other people.
Yeah. Like, can my wife change? Will my kids, will my son ever make the better decision? Will my mom quit? Like, you name it.
Yep.
And actually, the underlying of all of it is, can I actually change?
Yeah.
Like, truly, the underlying of any question of that is actually internal.
So, the answer is yes. Let me say this. Is it possible that people can really change? The answer is yes. I say that both because I believe it and partially because like I'm betting my whole life on it. Right? Like,
Same.
What a miserable experience this would be
Yeah.
if I didn't think transformation in people's lives was really possible.
Yeah.
Right? But I know it's possible because I see it. It doesn't mean we're not batting 1,000.
No.
Right?
Or that it's linear.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yes. Here, then here, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, all those things. But just the fundamental truth that it is possible to experience change in your life. I mean, our mission as a church, that we would be used by God to change lives, right? And I always tell people, like, that means we want lives to be changed here, but it doesn't even end there. It means that you and I would be involved, putting ourselves in the places where God could use us to bring about change in other people's lives, not just that our lives got changed. So, yeah. So, I mean, but let me talk about this a little bit, because I think people doubt this sometimes, whether people can really change. And especially when you're in a tough battle with change, you can doubt it yourself. Like, oh, I tried, I fought, and I failed, and such. So a big part about the Inner Life series was how powerful, and this is the way God created us, how powerful our thought life is when it comes to new experiences, to change and transformation in our lives. I don't expect most people to kind of capture this, but this series is kind of paired with the November series about the Holy Spirit, right? So if we have spiritual change at work in us, where we're nurturing with the Spirit ones, and we're taking the mind that God has given us and letting that be formed, then, like, man, this is just at our core, and that's where change comes from. Because you can make minor changes and swing back to them, to the old way immediately. People do that all the time. But if you really nurture your inner life, that's where change comes from. So, this phrase that I think I mentioned in one of my messages, it's in a commercial now, but I resonate with this a lot. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And it really is just about our mindset, right? I guess that could be on a poster of a football team, but it's more than that. To me, it's actually just a decision. If you don't think you can change, if you don't think people can change, then I'm not shocked that you don't see change, because you're not anticipating it. But if you believe, like, this is the beginning point, if you believe change is possible, then it's at that starting point where you start to build out, in the way God created us, some neural pathways in our brains, and give you the chance to actually set new habits. So, in one of the series, in one of the messages, when we were talking about taking every thought captive, we talked about the strongholds that are in our lives. And, a lot of the strongholds can be attached to phrases like, well, that's just the way I am. Right. And I'm like, that is not to hyper spiritualize this, but that is Satan. That is the evil one who is telling you a lie about your own identity, and you've accepted it. Like, that's just the way I am. Like I said, I'll never change. I'm just a warrior. That's who I am. I'm just, I'm like, oh, you hear yourself either saying that phrase or thinking that. The truth that you can change, that it's not just the way you are, that is the first step to freedom. So I just want us to all remember, like, why was this 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening so important to me? It's because, well, we'll shape our thought lives, and every thought shapes our future. And again, I'm no expert in neuroscience, but the basics of this are pretty simple. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you're thinking. And I think a couple of big insights for me, even as I was thinking about this, was, I have an electrician friend, and I was talking about these neural pathways, and he's like, it's kind of like conduit. I'm like, I'm not even electrical enough to really understand all the concepts.
You're like, sure.
What's conduit?
Yeah.
Right. But this is actually pretty simple, right? Like, you can pull, is it Romex? I'm going to get all my electrician stuff wrong. You can try to pull Romex through walls that have insulation, and you can get it done. Put your fish up there, work it. Like, or if you have conduit in your walls, which is the pipe that you just drop the wire through, and then it comes out the other end. Like, the conduit makes it so easy for the wire to come through. And that's kind of what our neural pathways are doing. It's opening up lanes in our brains so that certain thoughts flow freely and others get stuffed. And this is the thing about change. You get to decide. If you spend 10 minutes every morning listening to the scriptures, and 10 minutes every evening thinking, how's God getting my attention? What is he saying to me? It's taking those those things that used to be narrow roads or a path that seemed like you had to clear it every day, and it's becoming a super highway. And it makes it so easy now to live day in and day out thinking, oh, that's how, oh, God's getting my attention. Oh, what's he saying? I actually already know. I don't have to spend all this time. So I just like, oh, let the brain science, which I believe is the way God created you, say, changing your thoughts and your processes can change your life.
Yeah.
And to appreciate a couple big things, I think can help us see this. The science says that every thought reshapes your brain, but the ones that are attached to high emotion or ceremony, all of a sudden it's like, it really makes that lane pop open in your neural pathway.
Yeah.
So on the negative side, this is trauma.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you experienced abuse and the emotions of fear and shame and all that was so forceful to you, and at the same time your thoughts about yourself are being shaped. I mean, that's why I have so much grace for people who have experienced that, because like their lanes are wide open on feeling less than, on feeling shame. And I'm like, oh, over time, God can do a work on that. But you understand that one of the images when I was reading is like, hey, when something's attached to emotion, when a thought is attached to emotion, it's like a bulldozer through your brain. It is clearing a major path.
Right.
Again, with things that may be true or may not be true. On the flip side, if you were married, you remember your wedding. There was a ceremony around it. We planned it. There was music. There was thoughtfulness to it, and appropriately so, right? Because you're trying to say, from here on, this is what's important to me.
I changed the pattern of my day to make sure this was marked in a way that just deciding something and then continuing on as if it was normal.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And wedding ceremonies are like a top 5 event in life, right? But funerals are similar. If I always it's pretty common today. Funerals are expensive, right? So people are like, oh, we just want to have a funeral, and then they might say, oh, we'll have a memorial service, and then they never get around to planning that, and then there's no event, no ceremony attached to processing the grief and the pain and the hope for the reunion in the future, like that ceremony. Baptism. It's one of the reasons baptism is so powerful in the scriptures. It's like, well, that's not magic water, right? How many times do I have to say that? But it doesn't mean this isn't a meaningful decision where you're marking something. The church is celebrating it with you. You're going under the water and coming out of the water. This is rewiring your brain to say, I was someone before and I'm someone different now, and now I live into that identity. And again, it's not perfect. You'll continue to wrestle through things, but our neural pathways really get widened and they become conduit, freedom for decisions when we've gone public with something, when we attach ceremony to it. And so I just encourage people. I was in the comments this past weekend, a bunch of kids were walking around with these rocks and these containers. I'm like, oh, Suncrest kids did a forgiveness thing, and it has to do with rocks, and families are now going to have conversations at their dinner table. I'm like, well, they're going to remember that 100 times better than if the child had just been taught a verse in class and went home and it faded into the background. Because there's a physical thing, there's a ceremony around it. And so I just really want to encourage people to like leverage that.
Yeah.
If you want conduit, if you want a superhighway, not a path you have to battle through, or the Romex through the insulation, then mark it and let it open up that part of your brain.
Absolutely. So you and Davion have a favorite.
We do. We do since Christmas. Davion was given the game Exploding Kittens, which sounds horrible.
Pretty
right? Yeah. But if you've played Exploding Kittens, let me affirm, it's a great game. Davion's 7, he loves it. He can beat me in it. I can also beat him in it. Like, he wants to play it all the time since Christmas. So the point of this game that I was thinking, I never used this as an illustration. It never made the cut any week, but the point of the game is you're drawing off the top of a deck of cards, you're going around the circle, and you don't want to draw the exploding kitten card because then you're out.
And
right?
It's a mess.
It's that simple. So you have cards in your hand that you can use to avoid drawing the exploding kitten. And you can like skip your turn, you can draw from the bottom, you can play these cards to do different things. But two of the cards that are available to you, one is a card called See the Future, right? And what it lets you do is it lets you look at the next three cards in the deck so you know what's coming, but you can't change it.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's helpful, but if I can't change it, not all that helpful, right?
Just gonna happen.
The golden card is the card that is Alter the Future, which actually means I get to pick the top three cards up off the deck, and then I get to reorder them in whatever order I want and place them down again. And now I'm going to draw, and I know what card I'm getting.
Yeah.
And I think how powerful is it in life to be able to alter the future?
Yeah.
To say that's actually possible for me. I can not just look into the future and say, well, I see these three things coming.
Here's the train. I guess I better lay down on the tracks
or brace for it.
Right? Yeah.
I can actually look into the future and I say, actually, I have the power to alter the future.
Yeah.
And this is the power that God gave you. Like, well, if you don't like what's coming next week, change the way you think, right? If you don't like where this is going in a year, if you don't like that you're caught up in this habit, if you don't like, then we get the power. This is the power of the inner life to take every thought captive and then bring it into obedience with Christ. And we alter the future for all you Exploding Kittens fans.
Absolutely. Which, again, you said this before in this series, but in other series too, is the idea that like being able to alter the future, like what actually, like we can't necessarily choose the outcomes of that future.
That's right.
But we can choose our habits.
Yes.
And then those habits will then actually choose the future for us.
Yeah. I wish I could go back and see where I got this quote from, but it's such a powerful quote to me that like, because a lot of people think we get to choose our future, but more accurately, we don't choose our futures. We choose our habits, and our habits choose our futures. And to appreciate that half step, that like I actually can't control 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I can control what I do daily, every day this week, this month, and this year. And whatever I choose to do daily, it's going to lead me to where I'm going to end up. And that's why, again, if I can just come back to this 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening habit, that's within our power to choose, right? And I don't know what tragedy is going to hit your life or what beautiful opportunity is going to hit your life. What we're doing is we're putting the habits in place so that when either tragedy or opportunity or mundane comes, we have shaped ourselves, our inner lives, in a way to prepare for any of it.
Yeah.
So I do want to say one word. I always want to be so practical, so I kind of narrow it to 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. Read these short verses in the morning. Do this picture in the evening. I always wanted to clarify, like the Bible, which I take quite seriously, it doesn't say take 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, get a notebook and use the Suncrest app, right? I'm just trying to be so practical with you that you can picture this is the kind of thing you need to do. And one of the principles that we live on in leadership around here is imitation before innovation. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, hey, if you're not doing anything right now, I'm just going to ask you to do 10 minutes. I'm going to ask you to imitate a practice. Just do it exactly the way I'm doing it. And then over time, like don't let the practice be like, I have to do it exactly like this. The practice serves a higher purpose. And so after you do it for 9 weeks, you might adjust how you do it. Yeah. And I'll be the biggest fan of that. Like there's people all over our church that have different kinds of habits. The point is you have to have some habit every day that has you interacting with God. And in today's world, we don't let ourselves be bored or quiet at all. I used to mow my yard and think, oh, this is a good time for thinking. Now I put my AirPods in and I'm getting input rather than reflection.
Well, I'm protecting my hearing because I've used the noise cancellation.
And when you're driving, not many people turn off the radio or the podcast or whatever. We're consuming. But it's like, I follow an account on Twitter, X. It's called Shower Thoughts.
Oh, some of my favorites.
But I mean, that's the idea. Like, hey, when you're in the shower and you don't have anything else to think about.
Mhm.
Of course, now you have a Bluetooth in your shower, so you play like people. I do.
Oh,
It's water. I listen to the Bible though, so I justify it in that way. Regardless, quietness.
Mm.
Me and God, delineating some things. That's why I like writing things out. I'm so curious to see some of your notebooks.
Yeah.
Not because I want to read every word you wrote. It's just like, I'm curious how God got your attention.
Yeah.
What your experience was in the day and what you sensed he might be leading you to do. And then whether you did it or not. So the notebooks, I mentioned this week one, the notebooks in my life are so important to me. I can leaf back through them and I can remember the times in my life. But it's just that habit every day, think about these things.
Yeah. You have a book recommendation.
I do. So John Acuff
Mhm.
wrote a book called Soundtracks. And it really is kind of the neural pathways conversation. It's like we play certain, how you get a song stuck in your head, right? You also get thoughts stuck in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have the power to change those. But some of you, maybe me, are playing the same soundtrack in our head 30 years later.
Yeah.
And it may or may not be helping us.
Mm.
Right. So it's just John Acuff. He's a funny guy. He writes with some humor and a lot of insight. So just as a simple resource, I would very much encourage you to grab that book if this is interesting to you.
Absolutely. The other one that I would recommend in this too, then, is a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, which is always an interesting one. Basically, it's surmised at the idea that the one thing that will, how do you grow in your faith? Asking, and a very smart man said, you must ruthless eliminate hurry from your life.
Yes.
And then was followed up with, well, what else?
Yeah.
And then the response was, there is nothing else. So many of us are just programmed for the keep going. How do I keep functioning? All that stuff. And the one thing, again, there's lots of people, and you'll find lots of people on the internet, if you look it up, who are basically like, it's just ask you to do nothing. And it's like, that's okay.
Read the book.
Yeah,
Don't
you can take it to an extreme of that, sure. What it's offering up, and I had someone explain this to me recently, and it's been very convicting, is there's a difference between urgency, and emergency.
Yeah.
And what this is doing is it's helping you redefine the idea that everything in your life has to be emergency. You go to the emergency room when something is very wrong and I don't know what to do. You go to urgent care when it's, I've got an idea of what's going on and I need clarity of direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are looking for, hey, how do I slow down enough to give myself space to create urgency, which is not emergency,
Right.
it's clarity of direction and intent.
Yes.
That's what
good.
we're all looking for.
That's good. John Mark Comer, that quote comes from Dallas Willard, who was a mentor of a mentor.
A mentor of a mentor.
Yes. I'll say this just as we close. Mitch is responsible for our Ash Wednesday experience, which was amazing this year. Had the biggest turnout ever. Like, there's a lot of momentum around this. Just talked to someone in the comments last weekend. He's like, I've been coming for 6 weeks. He basically is like, yeah, the sermons are pretty good, but that Ash Wednesday, that wrecked me, right? And I'm like, well, good, in a positive way. But
I will never financially recover from Joe Exotic, anyone.
But it is like Ash Wednesday, again, just another setting where it's like, I put an external structure into my life that day to create some space to think about some things. There's some ceremony around it. It shapes me. I make some commitments. What am I doing? I'm like, God, what are you saying to me? What am I supposed to do? And this is why this is prompted. What I gave up for Lent actually comes from a Dallas Willard quote.
There you go.
So he, at another time of wisdom in his life, said, was in a situation, he was asked a question. He said, I am practicing the discipline of not needing to have the last word. Right. And I was just convicted while I was in the Ash Wednesday experience to be like, yeah, I think I can be prone to that. I have to have the last word in my meetings and the sermon and whatever. And I'm like, for 40 days leading up to Easter, and I've gotten it right a lot. I've gotten it wrong sometimes since Ash Wednesday. But again, back full circle, Ash Wednesday, inner life experience, marked something in me. I made a commitment to it, and it is shaping me. And I've committed to it for 40 days, and it will no doubt overflow beyond 40 days. And people can really change. I am experiencing that. So since I can't have the last word in this podcast, wrap us up, Mitch.
Plethora. It means
That's the last. It means a lot to me.
All right. We'll see you for the next series in a little bit.
Sounds good.